Iggy Pop's got a song that's just like, "Oh, she was only 12 years old." Ooh.
Oh,
And it's just like,
telling on
why? Okay.
yourself so hard.
Celebrity couples with huge age gaps.
Uh-oh.
Yikes.
We're all familiar with Leonardo DiCaprio and his standard of not dating women over the age of 25.
Yeah, it's basically
Yes.
a meme
And
at this point.
It is. Not only is it a meme, it's a graph. So literally, but we can see all through the years as his age increases, as age does, the age of his girlfriends steadies off at 25 consistently.
Oh,
Dude, there's like an econ class somewhere out there that is like teaching a lecture on like cyclical trends, and this is the graph that's being used.
Yeah, it's not really a problem until 2014, and that's the year that he turned 40. And still to this day, he continues to only date women who are 25 or younger. He's 49 years old, and he's dating a 25-year-old.
Apparently Leonardo DiCaprio never heard of dividing your age and then adding 7.
yeah.
He doesn't need.
It's like he was like, okay, what is like the youngest possible age that could be deemed like socially appropriate, and be like, 25.
Yeah, it's like, if you're like 50 and you're dating a 25, like 25 is like, it's an adult. That is an adult woman with the cognizance to make her own choices.
I'm still gonna
Barely.
side eye you though.
I mean, no, because it's like, what do you have in common?
Yeah.
But like from a moral perspective, I think you're kind of right. I think that's like the perfect age where it's just like he can kind of get away with it without like larger implications being made about him beyond like the obvious.
Yeah. There was like some study that I read or whatever that of course this is, obviously based generalizations based on generals, nobody is a monolith, all that stuff. But it said a lot of the time women as they get older will, be attracted to men of the same age, and then men as they will get older, like it unfortunately trended in the statistics that they like a lot of the time will perceive that same age, like that like 20 something age of women as like most attractive, which is a little problematic. I think that's emblematic of the culture that has been surrounding it and stuff like that.
I think it's entitlement.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, I think in part, yeah, you could totally be right.
If you're Leonardo DiCaprio, though, don't you kind of reserve the right to have that entitlement?
Well, here's the thing:
25-year-olds are lining up to date you.
I'm half with you because I do think it's entitlement. I really do. However, I don't think that this is an entitlement that should be or could be, or it really is reserved, depending on your wealth. I think that with him, maybe people would kind of assume that he feels more entitled to it because of his wealth, as in he can buy his way into things. This man can buy emotions, or at least the sort of illusion of them. But I think that a lot of people will feel entitled to like dating somebody that is younger because they're deemed like more attractive societally. And so they're like, oh, I deserve to have somebody. I guess that's hotter than me. I don't know.
It's kind of a weird, like fucked up way of imagining, of thinking about that. But I think in part you're right, because I mean that is unfortunately a lot of the way a lot of guys are like socialized, is like on this like sliding scale of hotness,
I mean, yeah, but also like it's kind of like really fucking funny because like once is like whatever, twice you could argue that's a coincidence. But it's just like when you have like 4 breakups that were all within like a month or 2 of the 25th birthday, like,
yeah, that's a pattern.
That's not something you're hiding.
Is it kind of just like, well, then that is what it is, and like
I mean, you're renting your girlfriends at that point.
Oh
yeah, there's a time limit. There's an expiration.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe he has no intention of ever like settling down. Maybe this really is the strategy.
That's like, just kind of the strange part to me.
Yeah.
Is that maybe that's just what he wants. Like if he's famous and he can date young women and he has the capability to, and he wants to, fine, good for him. But he never wants to like settle down and get married and have a long-term relationship. I don't know. Hits me a little weird, but okay.
I mean,
I think there's no way he does.
I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, like, consenting adults can do whatever they want, but
I don't know. It's more funny than problematic, I think.
It's just emblematic of like just a weird trend. I feel like that just, if you extend that logic out, it goes to some weird places. But
yeah, now here's one that's much worse.
Okay.
Jerry Seinfeld. In the early 1990s, he was involved with one Shoshana Lowenstein. Although the pair claimed their relationship was initially based on mere friendship. At the time, Lowenstein was just 17 years old. The two ended up dating for 4 years. At the time, Jerry Seinfeld was 38,
Ooh.
dating a 17-year-old high school student.
Yeah, no, that's big old red flags right there.
How do
And I have
put
to
this?
assume it was in a state where
worse?
17 was the age of consent.
Yeah.
I don't care about that.
Yeah. I mean, at a certain point, it's just a moral thing. Yeah.
Clearly, he wasn't charged criminally,
Yeah.
as far
They
as we
never
can tell.
They're never charged
Because he didn't commit a
criminally.
crime, I have to assume.
Here's my thing. Here's my conspiracy theory. Because I know, listen, everybody has their Hollywood sex pest conspiracy theories. And here's mine that I just made up on the spot. Every couple years, they take a fucking freak from Hollywood, right? They take a predator. Every couple years, like 7 to 8 years, they'll single out one of the dime a dozen predators and they'll make an example of them. They say, we got Cosby. Cosby was America's dad. And look, we arrested him. Nobody's safe from persecution from the law. A couple years later, they're like, look, we got R. Kelly. Just because he's a famous singer doesn't mean he's above the law. And that way, every couple years, they can make an example out of somebody, say, look, we arrest predators while the rest of them roam free.
I feel like that
In no fucking world would Seinfeld ever be. I mean, especially not now. But even then, it's like Seinfeld with a 17-year-old. Nah, that's not good enough. We need to get something worse.
You get something more shitty. Yeah, and it's like there's a lot of those anecdotal things, in like specifically if you think about like rock and roll, like history, like classic rock. Talk about I think
David
it was
Bowie.
Like, yeah, David Bowie, unfortunately.
Iggy Pop.
Iggy Pop. The dude from Aerosmith.
Oh, Steven Tyler.
Steven Tyler. Yeah, there's a bunch of stories of them, anecdotally like sleeping with like teenagers and stuff, like really young teenagers.
Sometimes like admitting it.
Yeah.
Like Iggy Pop, I can't remember the name of the song, but Iggy Pop's got a song that's just like, oh, she was only 12 years old. Ooh. And it's just like,
telling
why?
on yourself
Okay.
so hard.
But by the way, I don't care what year it was. It could be, 1970s, 80s, whatever. Not acceptable to sleep with children then.
Still fucking
weird. I mean, no, that wasn't an acceptable thing. That you couldn't like. It's like, oh, it was the time. No, it wasn't. I'm pretty sure that it was wrong.
Yeah.
To be attracted to kids in the 80s too.
Yep.
If somebody says Jerry Seinfeld dated a 17-year-old when he was in his late 30s, and everyone goes, I mean, what are we supposed to do about that? Like, it sucks. It's really unfortunate, but it's like, what's going to happen? Jerry Seinfeld is the richest comedian in the fucking world. You could strip him of his accolades. You could strip him of his prestige and reputation, and he's only left with $1 billion fucking dollars.
Yeah. That's one thing, and like I don't want to delve too far into this, but you talk about like cancel culture, right?
3 hours later.
Can you move it along? I'm all out of time cards.
All right, let's reel it in.
Carl, I see that slide, bro. Carl, I see that slide.
Yep.
Dude, if you get me talking about Boogie again, this podcast episode is never going to end.
Listen, this is supposed to be the short introduction, and then we get the conversation at the end.
Okay.
This is going off the rails here.
Okay. That's what we should call the podcast, Off the Rails.
But we can't help but talk about our good friend Boogie and his infamous relationship with 20-year-old Desiree. Boogie is a 49-year-old man, just like Leonardo DiCaprio.
No,
born in the same year.
I have something to add. I don't know who Boogie is.
All you need to know is he's a 49-year-old dating a 20-year-old.
Dude, no, there's so much more to know about Boogie 2988.
I'm like,
dude, coming to you.
Yeah, shitty person. Yeah.
Coming to you live through the power of the internet. On fucking God, dude. Boogie 2988.
Comment seconds.
Here's the thing, Dylan. I'm going to lay it out flat for you.
6.5 hours later.
And that's just something I wanted you to know. And then fast forward, like I said, Carl has brought to our attention that Boogie is just one of the many notable figures to date below their age range, below their tax bracket. And so people are on Twitter to go, Boogie, what are you doing? You're being a weirdo. That's a child. She's 30 years younger than you. And Boogie, once again, logical person. He thinks rationally. He does not
Very
react.
big brain.
if there's one thing Boogie is not, it's a reactionary. Boogie says, "Well, really, mentally, I'm like 15. Mentally, I'm a kid. So really, she's the one grooming me."
Subscribe for more videos and shorts from The Long Couch. Follow the link in the description below to stream full episodes on Spotify. And keep up with Carl and Mel on Instagram and Twitter.